So as we talked in previous talks, in the normal state of humanity or normal state of man, without doing any special work or any awakening work, awareness work, the second state of consciousness, which is the normal state for humanity, but from the point of view of what's available in terms of consciousness awakening, consciousness development, the second state is kind of a zombie. You're like a zombie from one angle. So in the second state, the natural state of affairs is that the attention or the awareness is, as you call it, is like lost in the experience somehow. The movie or the beautiful woman or this politician that pisses me off on TV, or like, or I'm lost in thoughts, these thoughts, worries and daydreaming and imaginings and worrying that how people will perceive me, and if I said the right thing and maybe they're upset with me, and rehashing all this, So in the second state, basic awareness is all the time loses itself in an outer object or inner object. Yeah, could be like negative story or a sad story or an embarrassing story or an emotion. Yeah. So sticking, collapsing, you use collapsing. So basically awareness loses itself or is collapsed. So somehow, so it seems like self-remembering is somehow the opposite of that, is an attempt to correct the situation and to diminish the losing of oneself. So obviously we are not monks here, so I need to pay attention to the screen. I need to pay attention to the CEO. I need to pay attention, but I'm not fully lost in it. Yeah, I keep something for myself, this divided attention. So it's more like I'm aware. So here we are saying like some aspect of self-remembering. I'm aware of phenomena instead of being lost and in past or future. So I'm in the here and now, aware of phenomena, but also aware of the sense of being, or the aware of being aware of.
And this can only happen in the present too. This is the link to the present, that you can't remember yourself, so to speak, in the past or in the future. You can see memories, you can anticipate in the mind and all that, but yes.
Yeah.
Also the term, it's interesting, this term self-remembering, which Gurdjieff either borrowed or adapted or whatever, as you were saying earlier, but this idea of bringing awareness back, you could almost call it self-recalling. When a company recalls a product, they bring all the products back to the company. It's a recall. So it's sort of like self-recall. Bring all this awareness back to its origin, back to itself. Recall it, remember it. That can mean, as I've heard you say in one of your videos, it means not only remember, but you see the mind says remember yourself, as though the mind is remembering the self. Yeah. That's no. This is just a term, a label for awareness actually recalling itself and realizing itself again, that it's here. It's here. And it also can be, as you've said, putting it back together, putting all these parts of awareness that have collapsed in all these things, bringing them back, putting them back together here.
Yeah.
They can still, awareness is so overlooked and it's so miraculous because it can spread itself, it can expand and never lose itself in its own expansion if it's conscious of being here. It's only then when it becomes identified, it means that it turns into identity, or turns things into identity, into forms that it gives identity to.
Yeah. I was saying, actually today I was talking to some people and I was trying to correct this, as you said, this, if I can remember the number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, my home phone when I was a kid. What can I remember that? It's 411414. You know, yeah, the self-remembering is not like that. Self-remembering is more like, I mean, there depends how lost in forgetfulness we are. I think that depending how far out there at sea lost we are, the self-remembering is different. The way we return or how we return is different. So one way is that, let's say, I am driving and I'm thinking about these things, and I'm worried about maybe somebody didn't like me, somebody's upset with me, and I'm having this like a whole story basically while I'm passing a few stoplights, and I'm miraculously there's no accident, and then suddenly there's like a whoa, I realized because somebody told me, hey, watch out for this daydreaming, and it's just notice and return. So I'm like, I am now kind of pulling, I'm ungluing, ungluing from the imaginings, which were like some loops, and this like, and I'm back into the present somehow, and suddenly I see the traffic, and I hear the music, and maybe I'm back here-ness, not knowing, you know, like not knowing, but knowing. That's some form of self-remembering, although it's not full self-remembering, but I'm now at least with attention in the present, as opposed to the no attention and the attention out there. So yeah, but now what? Now I am here. I'm not daydreaming. So this is an important step. We can't go from the daydreaming to the consciousness remembering to be, you know, remembering itself. So there is this coming back to the present. I'm kind of how do you call that in this sports? I'm throwing back at you.
The ball's
So
in my court.
if there's no attention, if there's no attention, even this term self-remembering doesn't mean anything. Also, if I don't know what the self is, then what am I doing? You know, and for a lot of the time when I was young talking to you, I didn't really understand what the self was. I didn't. So therefore, the self-remembering I was engaging in was some kind of mindfulness practice for me, as a like come back from imagination into the present and then be aware of some things in the present. I was aware of the sounds and aware of the body and aware of the breathing, but I wasn't aware of being aware. Yeah, so there's this important distinction. How does it land on you, or you know what I'm referring to?
I do, yes. And something you just said made me think about it. It provoked a new thought I haven't really had before, and that is that, you know, we don't really come back to the present. This is also an interesting reality. We don't. It's not like the present is always here, and then we leave it, we disappear, and then we come back. It's more really that awareness comes back to itself. And then what we call the present is in focus again. Somehow, because this idea of we come back to the present, it also implies time and space. We went somewhere over a duration of time, and in space somewhere, internal space into the psychological world, usually we're swimming off somewhere. But in a way, when we come back to the present, really awareness is just coming back to itself. And it doesn't have to travel any distance or any time to do that, to experience that. This is when we get into the vertical aspect of self-remembering and of conscious awareness. It's something altogether different from time and space and even the moment, even being in the moment. This is a popular idea too. Well, you know, I'm living in the moment now. I'm in the moment. Well, interestingly enough, present is not in the moment. I mean, awareness is not in the moment. The moment is in awareness. It's hard to, the mind can't kind of sort this puzzle. And it is a puzzle to the mind, but in actuality, to awareness, when you're in that dimension of awareness, it's very obvious. And but now we're getting into something else, because we're talking about, here's the surface of our awareness, or the surface of the ocean. Let's say below it, it's like the ocean, and then that would be the second state of consciousness according to the fourth way, as you know. And then below that, the first state of consciousness is sort of like the bedrock under the ocean, and that's very deep sleep and very deep dreaming, although dreaming also can happen at the very bottom of the second state. And then in here, in this second state, that's all the imagination, the results of identification, how the effect that has on the eyes, the four centers, the body and the mind, the sense of me, all of that is in this second state.
Yeah, the selfing, the egoing dynamism.
Yes. And this is awareness identified with something in the body or the mind, but the fourth way calls the four lower centers. It's attached to that, and it's attached to these eyes, these thoughts and emotions that are circulating for various reasons, which is another discussion. And then what self-remembering means in this context is simply awareness coming back to the surface. And I say coming back, but just a moment ago I said it doesn't come back. But, words get in the way, right? So let's say it comes back, you swim back to the surface, awareness does. It stops being interested in all this, and it realizes, why am I entangled in all that? What is that? And then you even see this identity, this what we call the ego. It's kind of moving around, and it reforms itself all the time based on what it's attaching to. And then, so awareness says, let go, and it lets go of all those weights, and it comes back to the surface. And now you're at the surface, and now you want to swim along the surface of this here and now, what we call the present. So you make this effort called self-remembering, and you simply try to stay right here, seeing and hearing and feeling what is going on, and being aware that you're aware of all those things. It's not you are being aware. Awareness is aware of Peter and Mihai having a conversation right now. And so but now I said this is all the lower centers, the sense of I, imagination, daydreaming, inner considering. Negative emotions is a big part of this ocean. But now, what about the sky, which would comprise the third state of consciousness in the fourth way model? So from the surface of the ocean up into the sky, that's the third state of consciousness or dimension of awareness. The body cannot go there. The mind cannot go there. The ego, the sense of I, cannot go there. That is the realm of pure awareness. Most people are, living their life, their sense of I and their awareness is right below the surface. It's boom, 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 have cereal, make toast, go to work, do my job, talk to my friends.
Worry, not good enough.
Worry,
not good enough, victim,
get irritated.
It's not fair. So there's all this torture.
All of that's happening down there. So at the surface, it's possible to realize, wait a minute, there's much more than that.